Hi, I'm Rick Keeler. Thanks for joining me. Well, most financial advisors and attorneys who specialize in asset protection trusts have probably never visited South Dakota. Yet, it seems to be one of their favorite places. A change made by the legislature this year has made these folks like South Dakota even more. The reason asset protection experts are so fond of our state is that South Dakota is one of the very few states, Nevada, Delaware, and Alaska are the others, to offer some of the strongest protections available for domestic asset protection trusts, and the short for that is DAPT. The House passed a bill, House Bill number 1056, which was signed into law by our governor, that included some small changes in the wording that makes the domestic asset protection trust even stronger. The relevant section amends South Dakota Codified Law 55-1615 by adding the 5 words that, these 5 words at the time of transfer, and let me read this to you. It says, notwithstanding the provisions of 55-16-9 and 55-16-14 inclusive, this chapter does not apply in any respect to any other person to whom, at the time of transfer, the transfer is indebted on the account of an agreement or order of the court for payment of support or alimony in the favor of the transferor's spouse, former spouse, or children, or for a division or distribution of property in favor of the transferor's spouse or former spouse to the extent of the debt. Now you're probably going, what did he just say? Okay, this change is not intended to allow divorcing spouses to hide assets from one another, cheat ex-spouses out of alimony, or avoid paying child support. Someone who owes alimony or child support to a former spouse cannot get out of that obligation by contributing assets to a domestic asset protection trust. This has been the case all along. Any amounts owed at the time the trust is established must be paid. So attempting to avoid legitimate obligations through a domestic asset protection trust would be fraud. But what the new wording does, it says that once a divorce settlement has been agreed on, former spouses can't come back and later make new claims against an ex-wife or an ex-husband's assets that are in the DAPT. Now, for most folks, this change is completely irrelevant. Many divorcing couples, I'd say the vast majority of divorcing couples, don't have many financial assets and have never heard of a DAPT. They work out a financial statement, they go their separate ways, and that's it. Yet there are cases where this new law could make a huge difference. And of course, that's with spouses that have some assets. Let me give you an example. Suppose that at the time a couple divorced, the husband had just started a construction company. It had more debt than assets and wasn't making any money yet. Years later, after the divorce, the business is booming and he's well on his way to becoming wealthy. Even though his ex-wife was not involved in building the company, she might try to benefit from his post-divorce success by suing for a share of his assets. He could protect those assets had he contributed them to a DAPT prior to the divorce. Or suppose a divorce settlement required the wife to pay her husband a one-time cash amount in exchange for his share of their house and acreage. Several years after the divorce, he isn't doing so well financially. She's still living in the house, however, and the value of the property has increased significantly. He might sue to amend the original agreement in an effort to claim part of the real estate. His attempt to change the agreement after the fact, he couldn't touch that property if she had contributed it to a domestic asset protection trust. So those are just 2 examples of how a DAPT could help divorcing couples down the road. Until now, Nevada was the only state whose DAPT laws did not make an exception for former spouses. This change in South Dakota law makes the two states very comparable in their domestic asset protection provisions. It's one more reason for asset protection professionals to find South Dakota. It's a great place to do business. Great place to live, too. Thanks.